So a couple weeks ago I learned all about Fujifilm Pro400h just because it was being discontinued. And of course a discontinued film is a bit more alluring than something you can get all the time. So I decided to buy a couple rolls and see what it was all about. So the first two rolls of this film I shot were shot entirely through my Olympus OM1 with both my 28mm lens and my 55, and the results were a bit of a mixed bag. So as film photographers, there is one thing we never want to happen. We get our film back and there is nothing on the negatives, completely blank. And well, one of my rolls was just that, completely blank. So of course, naturally, I was pissed. But it's okay because I still had the other roll that was perfect. So I think what happened here is it must have slipped out of the spool when I was loading the film. So when I was advancing, like so, it wasn't turning the actual film canister. So since this is a 400 speed film, which is for colour fairly high speed, I thought I would start off by shooting handheld in the Olympus OM1. I found shooting daylight and dusk to be no problem at all. So I had seen some results from other people, and going into this I knew that my shots would have this cyan overtone, so a slightly bluish hue to them. That being said, I started off just by doing a portrait of my partner, which I have to say turned out really nice. It did require some colour correction as there's a lot of reds in this image, so to get those out I did have to bend things a little in the colour balance. So now I've had the chance to shoot two more rolls of this film, and the main conclusion I came to is it is a bit hit or miss. There were just as many shots that came out as shots that didn't come out. So I've now had this film in the Canon EOS 1 for quite some time now, and I usually reserve slower speed films for my EOS 1 just because it tends to be more of a tripod camera. I tend to use it in more technical situations, so if I was going to shoot a sunrise or a sunset and I have my shots kind of planned out. So I did shoot both a sunrise and sunset with this film, as well as going around various different places handheld shooting. So looking at all the shots I have taken, I would definitely recommend this film as a daylight film. Having shot the sunrise and the sunset, I don't think it can handle those kind of colours. You would need something a little warmer. In that case, I would pretty much always choose Kodak Color Plus or something similar like Kodak Gold. Honestly, the cheaper, more saturated films would do a better job. It's a bit of a weird one with the sharpness as well. Sometimes I found getting really sharp images right to the grain, but sometimes it's come out a little soft. I know that's probably down to me most of the time, but even when shooting with my autofocus Canon EOS 1, I have found some of the images do come out slightly softer. Again, there's quite a few things going on with like the edges of the film, with bright skies as well with highlights, some strange colours creeping in there as well. And the biggest problem I found with this film is something called Newton rings. Now, you often get these when scanning film, especially if you're using glass, which you're shooting in front of. I use a glass cabinet, so I did tend to see in almost every single shot these annoying Newton rings, meaning that I didn't scan all the images I had taken. So when I come up with a better process of scanning this film, then I will finish off scanning those. So the hit or miss nature of this film is why I will not be using it again. I had fun trying it out, but honestly I think Kodak Portra could have done better. So in terms of colour, I will be going back to my beloved transparency film. I have some Fujifilm Pro400h in my Canon EOS 1 at the moment. I shot the rest of the sunrise shoot with that film, so I'm really excited to see how that comes out. And yeah, I don't mind the low dynamic range of transparency film. I think it was nice to get a lovely flat image from these colour negatives, but as I said, there was just too many problems with a handful of images. So saying all that, I definitely got some images I'm really proud of and will be part of my portfolio. Okay, so I have the link to my website in the description below. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe, that'll help me out a lot. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.